Another crash diet, Emma? My sister Victoria's voice dripped with disdain as she appraised me across the table at our weekly family dinner. You've always been desperate for attention, but this is getting ridiculous. I pushed my food around my plate, nausea gnawing at me like a constant shadow. At 34, I'd lost 20 pounds in 2 months without trying. My clothes hung loose, my face was gaunt, and fatigue made every day feel like running a marathon. I'm just not feeling well, I murmured, avoiding the judgmental stares. Mom sighed and exchanged a knowing glance with Victoria. Honey, if you're having eating issues again, we can get you help, she said, her concern anything but genuine. I thought back to 16 when Victoria had spread rumors at school that I had an eating disorder because I lost weight during swim team season. It didn't matter that I'd won state championships that year. To my family, nothing I did was ever just for me, it was always for attention. I'm not dieting, I said firmly, pushing down another wave of nausea. I'm trying to gain weight. Victoria snorted, nearly choking on her wine. Right. That's why you're barely touching Mom's lasagna, her specialty. Leave your sister alone, Dad muttered, though his tone suggested he cared more about avoiding conflict than defending me. I'm just concerned, Victoria said, saccharine and sharp. First, the migraines that made you miss my engagement party. Now this dramatic weight loss right before my wedding. You can't stand anyone else being in the spotlight, can you? I gripped my fork tighter, remembering the blinding pain that had kept me in bed during her engagement celebration. Everything had been dismissed as another bid for attention. The doctor is running some tests, I said, keeping my voice steady. I have an appointment next week for the results. Oh, so now we're playing the mysterious illness card, Victoria rolled her eyes. What's next, Emma? A wheelchair at my wedding. Even Mom looked uncomfortable, but Victoria was unstoppable. No, I'm tired of this. Every time something good happens to me, Emma has to make it about her. Remember my college graduation? She had that convenient panic attack right in the middle of the ceremony. My chest tightened. The dizziness, the crushing chest pain that sent me to the... My family had dismissed it all. That's enough, Dad said firmly, but the damage was done. I stood, chair scraping against the floor. I need some air. And now the dramatic exit, Victoria commented with a smirk. Always on brand, sis. Outside, the cool evening did little to settle my churning stomach. I leaned against the porch railing as black spots danced in my vision. My phone buzzed, a reminder of tomorrow's oncology appointment. I hadn't told them about the lumps I found, the night sweats, the bone-deep fatigue. What was the point? They would just accuse me of Googling cancer symptoms for attention. The door opened behind me. Mom stepped out, her face pinched with worry. Emma, honey, we're just concerned about you. These patterns of behavior. They're not patterns, Mom, I interrupted, too tired to maintain the peace. I'm actually sick. Of course you are, she said, patting my arm condescendingly. Just like before Victoria's high school graduation and her engagement party. I have an oncology appointment tomorrow, I said, watching her face freeze. The GP found some concerning symptoms. They're testing for lymphoma. Mom's hand dropped from my arm. Cancer? Don't you think that's taking things a bit far? I laughed hollowly. Of course, even the possibility of cancer was just another attention-seeking ploy to them. Never mind. I'll let you know what the doctor says. I grabbed my purse and headed to my car, ignoring Victoria's calls. Texts kept buzzing as I drove. Real classy, dropping the C word at my pre-wedding dinner. Mom's upset now. Hope you're happy. You always have to one-up me, don't you? I turned my phone off, tears blurring my vision. Tomorrow the test results would either validate my fears, or give them more ammunition to call me dramatic. The oncology department was eerily quiet as I sat alone in the waiting room. Victoria's morning text still burned in my mind. I turned off my phone just as Dr. Matthews called my name. She was stern but kind-eyed, and as she closed the office door behind us, my anxiety spiked. Please take a seat, Emma, she said, pulling out a thick file. Your test results. My hands trembled as she spoke quietly. Stage 3 Hodgkin's lymphoma. The PET scan shows significant spread to your lymph nodes and spleen. This explains the weight loss, night sweats, and fatigue. The words hit me like a physical blow. I had known something was wrong, but hearing it confirmed made the room spin. We need to start treatment immediately, Dr. Matthews continued. I recommend an aggressive chemotherapy protocol. I barely heard the rest. All I could think of was Victoria's mocking voice. Another diet for attention, Emma. Dr. Matthews touched my arm gently. Do you have someone here with you? I shook my head. My family thought I was making it up. Would you like me to call them? She asked. Yes, please, I whispered, giving her my mother's number. 3 rings. Then Mom answered. Mrs. Anderson, this is Dr. Matthews from Metropolitan Oncology. I'm with your daughter Emma. She's been diagnosed with stage 3 Hodgkin's lymphoma. Treatment needs to start immediately. I heard Mom's sharp intake of breath. There must be some mistake. She's been doing this for attention since she was a teenager. Dr. Matthews's expression hardened. Ma'am, I'm looking at Emma's PET scan right now. This is not attention-seeking. Your daughter is seriously ill and needs your support. I strongly recommend you come to the hospital as soon as possible. There was more silence on the line, then muffled sobbing. We'll be right there. After she hung up, Dr. Matthews squeezed my hand. They're on their way. Would you like to speak with our social worker while we wait? We have excellent support services for patients and families. I nodded numbly, still struggling to absorb everything. Within the hour, my quiet hospital room turned into the center of a storm. Mom arrived first, her makeup streaked with tears. Dad followed, looking like he'd aged 10 years in a single afternoon. Victoria came last, still dressed from her wedding planner meeting, her face white as chalk. This can't be right, she said immediately, her voice trembling. They must have mixed up your results with someone else's. Dr. Matthews had returned with my treatment plan. She shook her head calmly. I assure you there's no mistake. Would you like to see the scans? She laid them out, pointing to the dark masses that had been growing inside me while my family accused me of attention-seeking. Victoria sank into a chair, one hand clamped over her mouth. All those times, Mom whispered, her voice breaking. When you said you weren't feeling well. The engagement party, Victoria said hoarsely. You weren't faking the migraines. No, I said quietly. I wasn't. The room fell silent except for Mom's soft sobs. Dr. Matthews explained the treatment protocol, but my attention stayed on Victoria. My sister, who had dismissed every pain, every illness, every struggle, was staring at the scans as the truth finally landed. Treatment needs to begin immediately, Dr. Matthews said. Your first chemotherapy session is tomorrow morning. But my wedding, Victoria whispered. It's in 3 weeks. For the first time that day, anger flared hot in my chest. I'm sorry my cancer is inconveniencing your wedding plans, Victoria. She flinched like I'd struck her. Dad buried his face in his hands. Mom's crying grew louder. I didn't mean, Victoria stammered, then fled the room. The weeks that followed blurred into needles, nausea, and devastating clarity. Chemotherapy stripped away more than my hair. It peeled back the illusions my family had wrapped around our relationships. Victoria postponed her wedding. She announced it in a group text. Due to unforeseen family circumstances, Brian and I have decided to reschedule. Questions flooded in. Is everything okay? What happened? She never mentioned my diagnosis. After years of accusing me of craving attention, she couldn't bring herself to admit the truth, that her dramatic sister actually had cancer. Mom tried to compensate by smothering me with concern. She attended every treatment, hovering anxiously. I brought your favorite soup, she'd say. And I've been researching alternative clinics. There's one in Mexico. Mom, I'd interrupt, too exhausted to be gentle. Please. Let the doctors handle it. The guilt in her eyes was heavy, but not as heavy as the memories of every "you're just tired and stop being dramatic" that echoed through my mind during chemo. Dad handled his guilt with money. He insisted on paying for everything despite my insurance. It's the least I can do, he said, never meeting my eyes. And we both knew what he meant. Victoria surprised me most. 2 weeks into treatment, she showed up at my apartment looking hollow-eyed and wrecked. She dropped a box onto my coffee table. I kept these, she said. Inside were photos, medical records, diary pages, documentation of every illness, every ER visit, every moment I'd been sick while she accused me of faking it. I was building a case against you, she admitted, voice breaking. To prove you were an attention seeker. I stared at the box, stunned. But looking at them now, she said, pulling out a hospital discharge summary from her college graduation, it was all real. That wasn't a panic attack, was it? No, I said quietly. Those were early lymphoma symptoms. She collapsed into sobs. I've been horrible to you. For years. I should have felt vindicated. Dad, I just felt tired. Why? I asked softly. Why was it so important to prove I was lying? She wiped her face, mascara streaked down her cheeks. Because if you were telling the truth, then I was the sister who ignored your pain. It was easier to believe you wanted attention than to face who that made me. The honesty hurt, but it mattered. I postponed the wedding, she said. Because I couldn't celebrate while you're fighting this. And because I don't deserve to. I can't change the past, I said. And I don't have the energy to help you process your guilt. I need to focus on getting better. She nodded. Just let me be here now. No accusations. No dismissal. No making it about me. That evening I went through the box alone. Each paper marked a moment I needed my sister, and was met with disbelief. But maybe it also marked a turning point. The next morning Victoria came to chemo. She didn't hover like Mom or pay like Dad. She just sat beside me, held my hand when the nausea hit, and let me take up space without judgment. I'll never forgive myself, she whispered. Maybe not, I murmured. But we can build something new. Victoria never rescheduled her lavish wedding. Instead, she and Brian married quietly in the hospital garden during my final week of treatment. She said it felt right. And for once I believed her.